Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. It comes in 1/35 scale, and what I have here, it's quite an interesting vehicle because as you can see, this is, well, it's military vehicle, but this is a transporter, so it's a Raupenschlepper OST RS0 early production version. In 1/35 scale it might be an interesting subject to copy, so that's why I think it will be also worth checking it together with you in this video. And of course, what I have here on the table, this is the final shape of this release, so you should be able to get exactly the same stuff if you order it, for example, from Modelimex. And the kit number is 35478. We have quite nice box art here, and as I said before, I really like what they do. It would be cool to have such a poster, but well, it is not supplied here. The box size is here you can see comparison with my hand. It's I would say typical size for the such release from Miniart, and here you can also see some information about the manufacturer, also about the kit, that it's not a toy obviously. And here on the opposite side you can see 4 marking options which are included here. These are, I would say, strictly military, and we also have a small reminder that the decals are coming from Cartograph. So this is a top opening box, and here is what we have inside. All of the frames, they are sealed into one plastic bag, so I'm going to open it right now and we will check together what is actually supplied here. For me this kit is interesting because I think it will not be a large assembly. In 1/35 scale this vehicle will not take a lot of space, and that's why it might be interesting for modelers who would like to build more of the unusual vehicles in 1/35 scale and not to sacrifice with the shelf space, if we can put it this way. And usually Miniart is quite generous in terms of the various features included out of the box, so again it will be a chance to check whether this is the case here. I'm just trying to open the plastic bag because of the small pins which keep catching the plastic bag, but now it should be open. And first we will start with one of the biggest sprues. It's the frame B. Here you can see it. And maybe let's zoom in a bit and open the lenses. So now you can see what we have here. And I would say that the parts division is somewhat expected. And those are, for example, the external panels, as far as you can understand. Here we have also some tarp and also some chassis supports, but I think it's worth zooming in and checking each of the corners separately. So here you can see what I was talking in the beginning. I guess this will be the floor panel, but we will need to check the assembly manual. And also here you can see some of the parts for the drivetrain. Here we continue with the tarp in the folded position or version, let's say, and also we have the supports. I guess they will be used for the chassis. Here we continue also with some parts for the drivetrain and maybe also for the controls. And we have some Pioneer tools, and as far as you can see, they're molded together with the clamps. And here we continue also with more parts for the external features probably. So overall, it looks like all of the parts are molded in a clean style, so there is nothing to complain about. And here you can check also them from the opposite side. And the surface details here look rather nice, so it's a really great material for some additional weathering, maybe for some pre-shading. It is already up to you how you will bring out these features. But what is always cool with Miniart kits is that you get the engine included out of the box. So if I zoom in here, you can see what I'm talking about. And of course, such thing will be a nice addition in a 1/35 scale. Maybe you can add some wiring. I usually say it for every engine in the plastic kit, but here it is just nice to get it in the standard package. You don't have to buy it separately. And here you can see that we have also the guiding pins which will help you with alignment of these elements. So it's a well thought design, and I think it should work all together. Next we continue with the sprue CD, and this one is dedicated to the rear tarp. So as you can see, it should be assembled out of separate sections, but the overall sculpting looks quite convincing. I mean, even in the gray plastic it looks like it's fabric. And also here from the opposite side you can see that we have some supports. We also have the guide that is front. I hope it will not be visible because otherwise it will be weird. And this folded portion of the tarp, it will be placed here, I guess, so that you can see what is inside. This is also a nice touch, and it might be useful for some diorama ideas, so definitely a good thing to have. Next, I'll just place this sprue aside, because next we have the road views for the drivetrain. And why I'm surprised a bit, because we have only 2 sprues which carry these parts. So maybe what we can do is slightly cheat the system and show them both from the opposite side as well. So, as you can see, they look rather good, and as far as I remember, these parts were full metal, so you don't have the rubber sections here, and it will make the overall painting process way faster and easier. And of course, you can also replicate some weathering here, and in terms of the surface details, I think it's also great. So if you can take a closer look with camera focusing on these parts, now you should see that all of these nuts are nicely replicated, and this can be said about the opposite side as well. So it's not something where it was skipped because it's not visible. But again, it's also... Some modders are complaining that these features are... Well, if they are not visible, there is no use of them on the model, but it is always handy in some diorama ideas, so it's better to have it than not to have it. And here we continue with the drive sprockets. And so the first thing to note is that we have the attachment point right between the teeth, so be careful while separating these parts. And if I flip it over, here we have the guiding elements which will help you for the proper alignment of these parts. So at least this is covered, and you should get a really nice result. As far as you can see, this is quite interesting alignment system from what I'm checking right now, so it will be also good to see what assembly manual says about it. Next we continue with the rear section panels. So they are looking like this. No wooden texture, but I think it's a typical for such release, and here you can check it from the opposite side. We have also the metal parts on it, so it should be a good looking thing where you don't have to align the separate bits together. Next we continue with some of the interior parts, as far as you can see, and this is rather interesting composition, so I will show it like this and zoom out a bit. So first of all, we have the seats. Also here we have some interior parts or interior panels, and note that the seats are molded together with this thin part, so be careful while handling them. And here you can check them from the opposite side, so they are also detailed from the opposite side. This is really nice molding quality here. And why I'm impressed, because usually I think here we have the different plastic from what we are used to see in Miniart kits, so that's why it's nice. And another, I would say, interesting thing which you will have to work around is these thin supports. I would recommend to straight away replace them with a metal wire, because it's always tricky to cut off these parts and clean them because of their thickness, obviously. So that's why it's up to you whether you would like to go for such challenge. But I saw plenty of modders who are just replacing them with a metal wire, which is shaped in the same way, I would say. So next we continue with the separate track links. These ones are coming on 2 identical plastic sprues, and the plastic tracks are always welcome, especially in a 1/35 scale. It's just the size of these parts, as you can see, it's not that huge, so do not hurry with the assembly, and then you should be able to get a nice result. Next we have another pair of the plastic sprues. Here we have another type of the drive sprockets, as well as the Pioneer tools, which are again molded together with the clamps. So here you can see them, and if I flip over the sprue here, you can check the parts from the opposite side. So overall it looks fine, but again a lot of small pieces and various handles here. We even have the screen wiper here under the middle finger, and everything looks great, and even the clamps look alright on the plastic part, even though some modders prefer to replace them with the PE parts, but I think here it works. And next we have also more of the track sections. So obviously the track links which we saw before are not enough for the vehicle, that's why we have these one-piece sections. And at least this will simplify the assembly process, because you get at least these straight cuts which are coming as a single-piece parts, and this is definitely a useful thing. But we also have the last gray plastic sprue, so here I think I should zoom out a bit. Just give me a second. Okay, now you should be able to see what we have here. So we have the front cap parts, and what is interesting is that the front and rear bulkheads, they are molded as single piece elements, so this will also simplify the assembly, especially considering how curvy is the front cap. And also we have some of the doors, as far as you can see, or hatches pre-molded, for example here, but we have the doors, the main ones, molded separately, so this is good. And also the rear bed, here you can see it. This is the roof panel as far as I can guess. And also we have some suspension parts, some of the body parts, so everything looks nice. Let's flip it over. Inside we get some interior features, you can note it there. I guess the door panels will be installed there. And well, it's, I would say, something expected. So there are no unpleasant surprises. And what I'm not sure why it is packed like this, because usually Miniart was packing the PE parts separately, but now they are packed with the clear parts. So yeah, but at least the PE parts are wrapped in the film, so they should not scratch the clear parts, I hope. And here you can see that we have a lot of external elements as well, so this is a useful thing for a 1/35 scale kit. Next we continue with the clear sprue and also decals. So the decals are coming from Cartograph, as you remember, so that's why printing quality looks great. There is nothing to say about it. And next we also have the clear sprue, so this one is also looking nice. I'm just checking whether it's the scratch. No, it's the plastic, I think. Just give me a second. No, it is. It is a small scratch. Here you can see it, probably, with the camera focusing. So that's exactly because of the packing together with the PE fret, in my opinion. But overall printing quality, or molding quality, not the printing quality, we're not talking about the 3D print, but as you can see, these parts look really great. And well, masks are not included here, so in case you would like to have a nice paintwork, then you should get yourself the aftermarket masks or really sharp knife, because otherwise it will be very tricky. And if we are talking about the assembly manual, here I will have to close the lenses and zoom out a bit. Because it's a large cover printed brochure, we do not have the history note, unfortunately. So for this you will have to check some, I would say, internet sources, but at least here you can see how detailed is the marking guide. That's the first marking option. And of course all of the options will be with the covered rear section, even though you get the supports. At least this is what I think about. And next we continue with the parts map. Keep in mind that Miniart does not show which parts are unused, so that's why you might end up with some parts, I would say, dependent on the version which you choose, so pay attention to this. And yes, this was actually the floor panel. As you can see, we assemble everything out of separate panels combined together. We have the separate bulkheads, but this is not a difficult thing to get together, and there were the guiding elements, guiding tabs. As you remember, we also assemble the engine here. So the engine assembly takes several pages, which is rather surprising, and then you get to install it inside the vehicle. I wonder how it will be possible to expose it, because it stays inside the vehicle, and I think it will be under the front cab. But here you can see also the assembly of the suspension, and then we assemble the drivetrain as well as the tracks. And next we start working on the front cab. So front cab, as you can see, we also have the position with the open doors. Then we have also the position with the open front hatch. So I guess that's where the chance to expose the engine comes in. And we also have some suggestion for the wiring. Obviously the wiring, the metal wire should be supplied by you. And next we continue here with the rear deck assembly. So actually they offer the option with this metal supports or with the covered tarp. So this is also a great thing. And we also have a choice to open the rear tab. So this is also another assembly variant. And why I'm surprised, because before Miniart was not so generous on the assembly options, but here we get a lot of them, and this variance is actually useful for some diorama ideas. Next we continue here with two more marking options. These camouflages are a bit more sophisticated due to this white squiggles here and there, and here we have the white dots. So it's up to you whether you would like to go this way. And here is another one with rather simple, this cream colored vehicle, and also the dark gray tarpaulin. But obviously if you would like to choose something more sophisticated, nobody stops you, and the whole kit should be already available. You can get it in Modelimex webshop, and I will be happy to hear your opinion, so do not forget to write it here in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.